It's so difficult. It is so hard. It is so hard. Listen, I'm actually okay. My situation hasn't been that bad, but for some other people on my course, they have really, really, really struggled through this year because of placement. So let's go back to the beginning, right? So the university I'm studying at has an Excel sheet or database with just over 300 placement providers specifically for us. But the database is expired, as in it was last updated in like 2016. And some of the places that you email, the emails bounce back because those emails no longer exist, the numbers no longer work. So it's probably maybe about 100 or maybe almost 200 placements that are actually valid and useful. And even from those 250 to 200 that are somewhat useful, some of them are not, don't apply to us because some of them are only for doctorate level courses. I'm like, why would you put them on there when you know that we're second year master students and we're not doctorate students? So yeah, as you can tell, there's been a lot of frustrations with our cohort in regards to the Excel database that we were given that is pretty useless. Like, if you find a good placement on there, you're quite lucky. So let's talk about what you will need to do in order to prepare yourself for placement when you do start this master's course. And I'm going to put this video in the All Things Counselling playlist so that you can watch all the things that will help you on your journey to becoming a counsellor or psychotherapist in the UK. Okay, let's go. One thing you need to know is that placements do not prioritize students or trainee counsellors, essentially. So obviously they prioritize hiring people who will be working for them full-time, part-time, whatever it is. So people who are applying to do placements, it will literally take weeks or months for them to get back to you. It will take them so long to get back to you. So I think I told you guys we started applying for placement at this end of first year. So that was around May, June. We were told start applying now because you don't want to be in a situation where in January or February you're still looking for a placement. And all of us pretty much started looking for placements throughout summer. Some people were so lucky that they were able to start during summer. I got mine, so because my placement is currently at a school, I had to wait obviously until they started school. But even when they started school, I didn't have a place to live in London, so I couldn't start placement until October. But my journey was pretty smooth. My interview was simple. I didn't really have an interview. They just asked me to come in, bring my CV, documents, DBS, all that kind of stuff. And that was really it. And they just asked me what days I wanted to come in, how many hours I need to do. So it was very nice and easy and simple, and very much like whatever I wanted, they give me. And I even get free supervision, which I'll get onto later. So that's one thing. Some placements just take forever to get back to you. So I know people on the course who are still looking for a placement, some who are, even though they have a placement, they still haven't had a lot of clients. Some people have only really done 5 hours, and this year we're meant to be doing 100 hours by July. Some people only have about 5 hours, some people only have about 10 hours. So it's just really, really difficult to predict what it's going to be. So my advice to you would be apply to as many placements as you can. Even if 3 accept you, at least you know that you've got like options. And out of those 3, go for the one that gives you free supervision, one that allows you to tape record. On my course anyways, it's a requirement that we record our clients. So make sure you pick obviously a placement that has an ease of procedure. See if you can find reviews or find out from other people in the year above if they've worked with that placement provider, and see whether they're good or not. Because some placement providers, yes, they might get back to you quickly, but they might be really terrible at managing and doing admin stuff. So in terms of allowing you to record, they might be difficult. In terms of contracting, it might be really difficult. The hours might not work for you. The person who's in charge of you might not be very nice and welcoming. Surprisingly, you would think everyone who works in this field is a nice person, but some are not, from the stories I've had on my course. And some of them, even though they might accept you quickly, they might not necessarily give you clients as quickly or as many clients as you need, because they are slow or they don't have enough people. So many things. It's all just been a bit of a headache. So like I was saying about supervision, check for your placement provider if they provide supervision, or if they don't, check if they do group supervision or individual supervision. Because for us, if you're doing a group supervision, then the hours that you're having, you have to divide it by how many people are in the group. So if there's a group supervision of 4 people for 1 hour, then you can only count 15 minutes as yours. You can't count it as a full hour, whereas for me, I have 1-to-1 supervision every 2 weeks, which counts towards my supervision hours. I don't think we have mandatory supervision hours, but you have to calculate how many hours you've done so that it's on record, essentially. I've come across a few weird requirements for some of the placements. There was one placement that I saw the other day. I was going to apply for it until I finished. I think I went through the application, got to the bottom, and there was like in tiny little writing saying you must pay £300 per annum for supervision, insurance, and there was like a few other things that or the £300 was for. And I was just thinking, £300? Do you know how much this course is costing me? And you're asking for £300? Where do you think I'm going to cough up £300 from in the cost of living crisis? Like, hello? I mean, I was just like, wow, you guys are very, very cheeky for that. I'm a trainee counsellor and you want me to cough up £300? Please, excuse me. Like, you must be mad. So I just closed that down and I was like, adios, bye-bye. I do not need you. And then there was another placement which was asking me to pay £32 to get an interview with them. Like I applied and then they were like, yeah, you can go to the interview, but in order to get an interview, in order for us to schedule you for an interview, you need to pay £32. I said, excuse me, I don't need you, bye-bye, adios. So that one I haven't got back to. I might get back to them if and only if I can't find any other placements. But there's just some crazy placements out there. It's just some crazy counselling providers out there. You would think everyone is just simple and straightforward, but they are not. So start early, check the requirements for each placement thoroughly for any hidden costs, any hidden charges. And then the other thing is, I don't know if it's for every single master's course, but for my master's course, like I said earlier, we have to record. So it's important that your placement allows you to record, because some people on the course ended up at placements where it's not where they kind of have to ask for double permission to record, whereas my placement is quite straightforward. You bring in the form, you give it to the client. If the client wants to be recorded, then they sign it. If they don't, then they don't. But some placements are not that simple from what I've heard. They need to spend a few weeks deciding if you can record, which wastes like 3 or 4 sessions. And it's just very weird that you can't basically go directly to your client and just say, do you want to sign this form for me to record? Which is very annoying because it's something that I've been able to do with ease. So I've got a good 15 recordings from all my clients in the time that I've been at my placement. So I've got lots of recordings to choose from for my assignment, which is really, really helpful. And on the database they've given us, some placements don't even allow recording, and I'm like, so why did you put them on there when it's a requirement for the course? Anyways, stress. So placement can either be a really smooth journey or it can be really stressful, but I think for everyone it's stressful on some level. I'm looking for a second placement, like I said, and at the moment I'm really struggling to find one with ease, the same way I did with this school. This school was so easy and quick. I applied, got a phone call, everything was agreed within like less than a week, and the rest of it was pretty much up to me. The delays were kind of down because of me. If you are allowed to do a placement in a school, I'd highly recommend doing some of your hours there, not all of them, but some of your hours there, because they will never run out of people who need therapy. Because for me, I think I've had about 8 or 7 students since I started, but on a weekly basis I'm only allowed to see 5 max. But then 2 of them have left the school and 2 of them have decided they no longer want counselling. So now I'm back down to 3, but then they said literally next week, well, in a few days when I go to placement, I can start with an extra 2 to go back to my usual 5. So the good thing about schools is that they potentially never run out of people who will be recommended for therapy. So it's really good to have that option where if you can work within a school for your placement, do that. Because other placements, someone on my course is struggling because even though they've been at their placement for a long time, the issue is that the admin system is really slow. So they've got lots of people on the waiting list, but they have to get them through the waiting list in order to be assigned to someone, and the part where they assign the people in the waiting list to somebody is what's taking long. So there's lots of people, they just haven't been assigned to her yet. So definitely see if you can speak to the placement and guarantee that you'll have enough people by your deadline. For us, the deadline is July, but of course if you need an extension you can get one, because our university really understands that placement is not simple and straightforward for everyone, and not everyone will be able to get the 100 hours by July through no fault of their own, just simply because some placements are a flipping headache, so there's not much you can do about it. So that's all the advice I have in regards to placement. Just have your CV ready, your DBS ready, your documents, your like passport or driver's license ready. If you guys would like me to, I could do a video on the placement interviews and what they might look like, if you'd like me to do that, because I've heard some stories about what the interviews were like from the people on my course, because I didn't really have one for this placement, but if I do have one for my next placement, then yeah, I'll let you know. So I wish you the best when you do your placement. Once you start, it's actually not that bad. Like once you've gone through your first client, it's not as overwhelming. I remember the first day of my placement, I did a vlog, I was sweating like crazy. So you can definitely watch the vlog at the end of this video, or you can watch the playlist which I created for everyone who wants to become a counsellor. I've got a playlist called All Things Counselling, which you can watch next. So I will see you guys in the next video. Adios.